comes to personal finance, every decision you make reinforces a habit. In today's video, we're going to be talking about some good money habits to help improve your financial situation. Now, you've probably clicked on this video to reassure yourself that the money habits that you do have are working well for you. And if you don't have good money habits at the moment, maybe you're looking for a bit of inspiration or some ideas to help you improve your money habits. Now, the first one that I have is probably a little bit cliche, but I'm going to start off with it anyway. And that is to get out of debt and stay away. Getting into debt is probably one of the worst financial mistakes that we probably all make, and it really doesn't benefit us in any way. When we do decide to use a credit card or to get a personal loan, not only are we setting ourselves up for financial success, but we're also creating habits that can be detrimental for us creating wealth in the future. Getting into debt can be one of the worst financial mistakes that we all make in our lives. I myself did have a credit card with $5,500 worth of debt on it, and it was the hardest thing to get out of. I had to really cut down on certain kind of like luxury or lifestyle choices. I had to stop putting money towards my savings so then I could get out of debt quicker. In Australia, it works a little bit different to America, so we don't actually need a credit score. So therefore, in Australia, there's actually no need for us to even have a credit card. However, because I think a lot of us are so Americanized, and please don't come for me for that, but because a lot of us have that mindset, well, I need to have a credit card in Australia in order to get a home loan, and that's just not true. And it is unfortunately the younger generations that tend to get themselves into debt earlier and build it up over time. So myself, yes, I did get a credit card when I was 18, and you know, putting a couple of $100s on the credit card here and there wasn't such a big deal, but when it started to snowball and for me to not actually take acknowledgement of my budget and to set myself certain goals, that's where I started to get into even more debt. I also had the mindset that I had to have the best of everything. So I also wanted a new car, like a better car than the one that I already had. There was nothing even really wrong with my car, but I guess because society had made me think that I need a better car to fit in or to give off this certain persona that I was, you know, like wealthy or that I was earning good money, it was just absolutely ridiculous. And I ended up having to borrow $16,000 from my parents. While there was no interest attached to that, it's still a debt because I had to owe money to someone. Therefore, I was taking that money that I was giving to my parents, I was paying them instead of actually putting that money towards a savings account. Now, the next one, and this one is very much towards my sister, it is to stay away from the sales. Companies have sales for a reason. It's to lure the customer in, and it's also to get rid of unwanted stock. So very, very rarely companies will actually do a sale on brand new items. Usually when they do this, they want to get rid of things that no other customers have been wanting. And marketers are really quite brilliant. They do use colors that are eye-catching. So red is a color that the eye immediately goes towards. So you'll find that when you are in the shopping center and you see sale signs, they're usually in the color red. Now, unless you are actually shopping for a particular item or for a purpose, I would really, really recommend staying away from the Boxing Day sales, the Amazon Prime, the Click Frenzy, the mid-year sales. Unless you are actually shopping for a particular thing, you really should have money saved up to buy that item anyway. So stay away from the sales. The next thing, to get into the habit of actually asking yourself, do I need this? When you are in the shopping center or when you're online shopping, sit and actually think about it. Is this item something that will benefit my life? Or do I actually need this item? Is this item that important to me that I need to spend an hour worth of my working time to pay for it? Sometimes it's really good to put into perspective time and cost. So if you work for an hour and your hourly rate is $30, is that item that you're purchasing worth 1 hour of your time? Do you need it that badly that you will be willing to work for 1 or 2 hours just to pay for that particular item? If not, then maybe it's something that you can leave and come back to. Now, before I go any further into the video, make sure that you leave a comment down below of any good money habits that you have that you can share with the community. We're all here to learn and get ideas from each other, so make sure that you share them down below. Also, if you are enjoying this video, please make sure that you give this video a big thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below and also turn on the notification bell as well. Put time between you and your purchases. If you are online shopping or if you are in the shopping center, I would recommend between 24 to 48 hours between you and your purchase. If it is there and you still really, really want it, then you can purchase it. You really do need to start thinking about why you are actually purchasing this item and why you need it. So putting time between you and your purchases really gets you to think about it. And more often than not, you'll actually forget about the item that you're even looking up. So I do this now. So I put roughly around 48 hours between my purchases. I'll get online and I'll add so many things to my cart. And then I actually won't ever go back to it until like a couple of weeks later. And most of the time it's either kind of out of style, or I've moved on, or I've fallen in love with another trend, or I've just realized that that money is then best put towards investing or savings or an emergency fund. More often than not, I actually second guess myself, and I very, very rarely actually buy things now because I do put that time between putting it in the cart and then putting my credit card details into it. So I would really recommend that. Putting 48 hours between you and your purchases helps a lot, especially if you're an impulse buyer. So if you are someone who you buy it as soon as you see it, stop, think about it, ask yourself that question, do I need it? Put it in your cart, let it sit, and then come back to it. If it is there and you still really do desire or still really do want it after that amount of time, then you can go and purchase it. Set yourself some goals. How do we know that we're working towards something or achieving things if we're not actually setting goals for us? When we are setting goals, we need to be making sure that our goals are realistic and in line with our values and with our income. Do not compare yourself to those around you because their life, their lifestyle, their income may be very, very different to you. You don't know what someone's expenses are. Therefore, you cannot match their saving goal. For example, if you earn $50,000 a year, you might be wanting to save $10,000. That's a fantastic goal. If you're earning $50,000 and you want to be saving $30,000, that's fantastic. But can you actually afford that? Maybe you live at home, you don't own a car, you don't actually travel, you stay home quite often, which is fine. But everyone's life and everyone's lifestyle is not aligned. So you need to choose goals, realistic goals that you will be able to achieve. Start off small and then make them bigger. Instead of saying, okay, by the end of the year, I'm going to save $10,000, maybe say to yourself, okay, by the end of the year, I want to be able to save $3,000. $3,000 is achievable for me because of da 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 da. And give yourself, like, reward yourself too. So if you have achieved that goal and you really want a new pair of shoes, or you really do enjoy a nice glass of wine, or, you know, maybe mugs are a favorite of yours and you like to buy really fancy ones, go and buy them. You need to reward yourself as you go because that will keep you more motivated. Save before you spend. This is really important. We love payday. I love payday. Wednesdays, every second Wednesday is my favorite day because it's payday. However, what I have done now is I have made Wednesday basically a no spend day. I'll look at my pay, which is usually consistent. I don't have hours that kind of vary. I just get paid for my work and that's it. I will then send a certain amount to my sinking funds, my savings, and my emergency fund. And then everything else is allocated to other things, such as like splurge, I don't know, petrol, variable expenses, mortgage, all that kind of stuff. All of that is then set aside. Whatever is left over, that's my fun money. So I always transfer my savings first, always get that done first because then I know it's done. I don't have to think about it anymore. I don't have to touch it. The next good money habit that I have for you is actually to save before you spend. This tip is actually really important because so often a lot of us are very impulsive when we want to purchase an item. We don't actually take the time to save up for that item. We most likely just put it on a credit card, or we'll take money of our savings, or we'll just pay for it as soon as we get paid. I would really like for you to start actually saving up for items that you would like. So if you would like a new saucepan or a new frying pan, whatever it is, set yourself a target. So set yourself a goal. Say that the saucepan's $200. Fantastic, okay? I'm gonna save up $200 so then I can go buy a saucepan. Once you've actually saved up that $200, then you can go and buy that item. It is creating a habit around a positive thing. It's not meant to be a negative thing. It's meant to encourage you to actually save. And especially if it's a little thing, if we start with those small, minute movements, then we can build up to much larger and bigger financial goals too. This will also really help you if you are wanting to save up thousands and thousands of dollars for, let's say, a house deposit. If we know and if we can actually start off small, we are much more able and much more willing and motivated to achieve those larger financial goals. The next one is automating your money. This one is actually in reference to savings. So when you get paid, I would really highly recommend that you have a set amount of money that you transfer every single pay towards your sinking funds, savings, or emergency funds. What you'll need to do with that is you'll need to take an average of your pay, if you know what that is, divvy out between those three funds and automate them, so then every single time that you get paid, you don't actually have to think about it. You don't have to go in and manually transfer that money. It's done for you. That way, there's no chance of you actually fluctuating the amount of money that you're saving. If we get paid a little bit less than what we're used to, we're more likely going to put less money into savings when really we should be cutting back expenses somewhere else rather than making our savings account suffer. Automate your funds. It'll make your life so much easier as well, because then you won't have to constantly be thinking about your savings too. It can be really stressful thinking about money and finding time to do all of this budgeting and to transfer all the money. There's some people just aren't into it as well. So if you're not into it, I would really, really recommend automating your money. The next is having multiple accounts. I actually bank with 2 banks and I have 11 separate accounts. Yeah, 11. 7 of those are actually sinking funds. So I save up towards 7 different categories of expenses that I know that happen every year. I then have my mortgage account, 2 everyday accounts. So one is for my splurge, one is for my variable expenses such as petrol and then other things. And then the other account is kind of like a miscellaneous. What I'm doing with it at the moment is putting a certain amount of money aside every single fortnight to put towards investments. So I actually don't invest every single fortnight or every month. I wait for that money to build up. Once it gets bigger or big enough, so then that brokerage fee is worth it, then I will invest. And you can do it however you like. Most banks now give you unlimited saver accounts that you can use, and a lot of them come with really cool emojis, and they even allow you to set a goal. I know that in Upbank they allow you to name it, put an emoji against it, and also to set a goal. With that account too, it also gives you the percentage of what you've achieved. So let's say that you've got a savings account for $100 because you want to buy a new pair of shoes and you put $25 into that account. It will then kind of celebrate saying that you've achieved 25% of your goal, which I think it's really encouraging to me. I find that kind of stuff really motivating. Look into your bank, see if they get you to do it, and if not, sign up for another. It's free. A lot of them are free these days. They don't really charge a lot of bank fees, and if they do, don't bank with them, basically. Now, the next one that I have for you is really important, but again, it's sort of something that a lot of other people have said, but I really want to reiterate it to you because people say it for a reason, and that is to set up an emergency and a savings account. They are 2 different things. They're not the same. An emergency fund is purely for that. It is for an emergency or for emergencies. Things like a job loss or a flat tire, or something happens in your house, like you need a new washing machine because the other one broke. That is for an emergency. A savings account, on the other hand, is you saving for a larger financial goal, that being a house deposit, a wedding, a baby shower, something that's going to cost you quite a lot of money, but you won't need it for quite a fair bit of time. They're both really, really important because they will stop you from going into debt. If you can only have one of the 2, I would recommend an emergency fund, because if that's a fully funded fund and you find yourself hating your job and you really want to get out and you want to do something different and you want to go on a holiday and become a digital nomad, that's what that emergency fund is there for. It is there for if you find yourself in an emergency, and mental health I'm going to classify as an emergency. If you find yourself hating your job, wanting to do something different, you can actually use that that fund. And lucky last is setting up sinking funds. Like I said before, I have 7 of them, and a sinking fund is when you save up a certain amount of money for an expense that you know is going to be coming up. Things like house insurance, car insurance, those expenses that you know happen every single year or every month that you are going to pay for. It could be things for subscriptions, but you put a certain amount of money from your budget towards those items. So when those bills or when those expenses do come in, you can pay for them outright and you will feel so much less financial stress, less anxiety, and you'll be so much at ease. Now, before I end the video, there is no right or wrong way to do it. These are just my financial habits that I have found that have put me in a really good place with my money. I found that doing these has really strengthened my budget a lot more. I'm finding that I'm a lot more empowered maybe than what I was previously. Let's start off with 1 or 2. Let's start off with baby steps, and gradually over time, we can implement more of these good habits to set us up for financial success. That's it for the video today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really do hope that you did enjoy it. I hope that it gave you some sort of reassurance or encouragement for you to be getting into these financial habits. Just remember that not everything is going to happen overnight. It says that it takes 30 days for you to actually get into a good habit. So please be aware that this can take time. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments. Anyway, guys, I hope you did enjoy today's video, and I will see you in a video sometime in the very near future.